automation and technology is something that truly can help FP&A and finance?
It's about getting the technology in place and then having processes around it. 60 to 70% can be automated.
What was the more challenging part? Was it the technology part?
Work till the last man standing.
What did the shift look like
Basically, it's about your communication skills.
for somebody who's in a situation like that in 2025 in a messy FP&A team?
Map out all the processes that you are doing.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of FP&A Mentors podcast. Today's guest with us is Tejas Parekh. He is a FP&A transformation specialist and the founder of Akshar Business Consulting. He has over 20 years of experience working with global companies like GE Healthcare, Vodafone, Nielsen. He has led finance transformation across industries from tech, telecom to consumer and healthcare. And I would like to welcome Tejas and ask him to give more introduction if you can help us with what have you been doing in the past decade or so in the FP&A space.
Thank you, Asif, first of all, for having me. I really, really appreciate you having me on on your podcast. Basically, in the last decade, essentially, nobody can argue, right, that FP&A has changed dramatically, and technology has become an integral part of what we've been doing in FP&A for last, and it has transformed what we've been doing in last 10 years. So that's what I've got involved in. The first part of the decade, I was still doing basically traditional FP&A, Excel books and PowerPoint presentations. But last 7 years, basically, I've gone deep into FP&A technology related activities, and off late even into AI and stuff like that. To actually help improve FP&A productivity. Somebody recently just said, and I really like the quote, that nobody became a chartered to play with Excel. They became a charter to actually add value to the business. So how can we leverage technology to stop playing with Excel and start dedicating more time to adding value to the business? That's my mission for last basically 6 to 8 years.
Wonderful. So, uh, looking at your experience in FP&A transformation, was there a situation or was there a period early on in your career where you felt that automation and technology is something that truly can help FP&A and finance?
Yes, it's funny you asked that. So, first of all, I have to clarify. I'm not a technology enthusiast who has recently started into technology. Technology became a very critical part very, very early on in my journey. If I go reflect back, I'm talking like 2008, 9, right? Where even Power BI or any of these tools today didn't even exist. Even at that point in time, I was doing a role at GE Healthcare, and I have to be shared with all your listeners. I was an analyst as well. I have come bottom up, right? And I was given a when I started that role, basically I was given process for, okay, this is how you manage your orders. Okay, orders reconciliation and orders reporting. This is how you do your backlog reporting. This is how you do your sales reporting. This is how you calculate your basically commission calculations for sales reps and stuff like that. So all three, four, five processes were all verticals, all independent. But the reality is they are not independent because the order comes in, it then goes into backlog, which you have not finished delivery for, and then becomes a sale once you finish delivery and get client sign off, and then becomes basically a commission calculation for the sales reps. So it's actually a horizontal journey rather than vertical journey. And when I looked at that, I was like, this is just crazy because we are doing 4 or 5 vertical processes in different Excel books with multiple tabs. And then when somebody starts asking me horizontal questions, okay, I can see this in backlog, but I think this order is missing. Where is that gone? I was like, I have no idea. Then I will spend like another 2 hours reconciling one Excel book to another and things like that, and then lose that reconciliation in a couple of days or whatever. And then again, somebody else will ask me another question. Again, I'm doing the same thing. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners will resonate with this, that, you're reconciling one Excel book to another Excel book to another Excel book. I mean, that to me personally, and even at that point in time, very early in my career, was madness. So what I did is I asked for help with somebody who was much more finance systems kind of a person at that point in time, and I learned with him back in the day MS Access and Excel connected to MS Access. So what we call Power Pivot tables today
Mhm.
actually has been in existence from that day in time. So done that and actually implemented that journey of how order to sales, the entire journey for the order number, and at the same time how each order number is then allocated to each sales rep by month, because again hospitals or the customer accounts used to get swapped between basically sales rep within the month. Uh, and that all was in one access database. So now when somebody came to me and asked me a question, the answer is this order is in the order stage. It's not even gone into backlog yet because it's not been signed off by the operational team, or the operational team is working on it. So it's WIP and therefore it is backlog and it is not sales yet and whatever else. And most importantly, I used to have a lot of argument with sales guys in the traditional process because they were like, but where is my order gone? Oh, I got this business, I've lost this, my commission calculation is not correct. That argument was non-stop, and they used to constantly complain against finance to the sales director, marketing director, that oh, these finance guys don't know what they're doing, this, that, and the other. Okay, again, it's not unheard of. This is I've seen after that experience, I've seen that in too many businesses. The reality is, after this change to access databases, every month people would not only get their commission statement, they would get a backup of this is your order numbers that I'm giving you credit for. This is the total, and therefore, basically, this is how your commission is calculated. You have a problem, you think I'm missing an order number, I will track for you. That order number has not gone to you, has gone to say XYZ. Now, if you want that order number from XYZ, means XYZ gets less, you get more. The business still has only that much of sales. It doesn't change. There is only that much of pie to go around, right? And that actually created so much of transparency. And around that, then obviously I built processes of, okay, making sure that if you want to transfer the order, the XYZ, the second sales rep has to say yes, the marketing director has to say yes, then the order is transferred from that commission statement to this commission statement. It's about getting that technology in place and then having processes around it and check balances around it to make sure that the technology is exactly doing what it is doing. Now, okay, how did this help? This helped because A, the sales reps had 100% transparency, so they were very, very motivated. They actually started going to the marketing director and saying, okay, now we know what's going on, so we know we are getting paid correctly. Some people who were trying to cheat the system, frankly, one of them even left the business, but that's fine. You know what? Nothing wrong with losing that people like that. Second, basically the business was much more happier because finance then built a lot of credibility that finance knows what they're talking about, and we had a lot more credibility in our forecast. Our forecasting accuracy went up for the month. Okay, every month we knew what sales we are going to close, what the next month looks like in terms of backlog and things like that. And to me personally, I think the biggest benefit was, instead of spending days and days trying to do these processes, I honestly was finishing this in a matter of hours, because all I had to do was download at the back in the day system reports in CSV, load them into Access database, run a few processes within Access, and then I am done. So within less than half a day, I had finished. I used to finish all my 4 or 5 processes. Okay. Which means now I had a lot of spare capacity. I kept going to my finance director, like, okay, now what do I do? I have nothing to do. I'm sitting in an office, literally going and asking for more work. And guess what happened? I started becoming much more of a finance business partner to the sales director, to the operational CEO, the operational director, and things like that, and spending a lot more time with even the warehouse manager. Okay, how is the warehouse being organized? How can we optimize this? How can finance help? Think that we were having real business conversation. But remember, I mean, I think a lot of focus on LinkedIn and a lot of other platforms is about, okay, finance business partner. Nobody ever is going to appreciate you being a finance business partner if you don't do your month end. If I didn't get my commission statements to my sales reps, I was going to get fired, no matter how good a finance business partner I was. If I didn't get my forecast in on time, nobody was going to care how good a finance business partner. Okay, I had to do my processes and my deliverables first to make time for a better finance business partner. So my challenge to all your listeners would be, look at all your vertical processes that you are doing and see, can you see a business journey horizontally? Can you automate? My experience of last 15 to 20 years is telling me one thing, and I am happy to be challenged. 30% of your work should be manual, 60 to 70% can be automated. Okay. So your routine work, not ad hoc, routine work, almost 70-80% should be automated with stuff. What do those tools look like? Depends on the problems you have, right?
Mhm.
I can't use a hammer when there is when I have when I can use a hammer when I have a nail, I have a screw, I use a screwdriver when I have a screw. So it depends on what problem I'm solving, I will use the tool. But challenge is make 60 to 80% of your work automated, free up that capacity, and then go to your boss and say, I want to do more. And then go and do business partnering, add value to the business, become that valuable asset in your business, because then you become somebody who people will come back to and say, you know what, he's a problem solver. That to me is what it is all about.
Amazing. And all this was back in 2008, 2009. Also reminded me of me learning Access back in 2010. And so much the technology has evolved so much since then. I'm just excited what are possibilities in 2025. One question I would like to ask you is, while you were managing all of this transformation project, uh, what was the more challenging part? Was it the technology part, working with databases, working with tech, or was it convincing the people? Was it working with the people?
Always people. Okay, I think change management is underestimated. Again, as finance people, we tend to be very left brained, including myself, I will be honest. So no blame game here. But so we tend to think logically, and not everybody in the business is as logical. A plus, people tend to be more risk averse. So people are like, yeah, but your new process, how do you know it is correct? So always have a parallel run, be open to being challenged, and literally work till the last man standing. So again, I've recently done a project with Xerox for 2022 2025 until the end of December, basically 24. So almost for 3 years. And the gentleman who used to be my toughest critic when we started this project is today my biggest basically supporter. He's given me a LinkedIn basically recommendation and everything else. Because yes, he kept challenging. How do you know this is correct? Can you reconcile this? Can you make sure the technology is giving me the right answer? Things like that. Yes, it is frustrating at times, but kept going back to him. And there were times when he was wrong. We needed to show him the evidence that the technology is doing what it needs to do. And there were times when his challenge was actually completely fair, and we had to fine tune our process to meet his expectation, which were very, very high standards, which is completely fine. Eventually, we got there, and getting people on your side is critical for any change management. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Frankly, it doesn't.
Absolutely. And on the other side, the business partnering side that we discussed, what did the shift look like after you completed that project? How did you use the extra time? What was the change that you experienced?
It's a phenomenal change because actually business is always very hungry. So first, because I've done this, I earned respect and credibility, right? And then when I'm sitting with those senior C-suite people and talking about, asking curiously about how does the operational activity work, how do you deliver this equipment to the hospitals, how do you install it, why does it take so much time, what efficiencies can we drive, and then they will start describing the bottlenecks in the warehouse and things like that. I started talking to the warehouse manager and things, taken the initiative. Then basically it's about your communication skills, about your negotiation skills, your business acumen in terms of, okay, understanding how the business is actually earning its money. Think that way, right? I mean, how many finance people know what revenue is, but do you really physically know how does business earn its money? Where does the goods come from? What is the process you're doing? How are you shipping it out? What is the customers that you have? Do you really understand that, right? So that is a big change, because that's when basically communication skills, negotiation skills, your acumen, your ability to influence, your ability, lateral thinking, all those kind of softer skills then became critical, because my core job was taken care of by a large chunk of automation essentially.
And for somebody who's in a situation like that in 2025, in a messy FP&A team, in a messy FP&A department where there's issues with data, there are issues with technology, what would you advise them now?
Well, my advice to everybody listening to this is one thing. First, in I always go in this order. Map out all the processes that you are doing in your head. Look at, I have a job, okay? What are my key absolute deliverables? If I don't do this, I'll get fired. Basically, think that way, right? Because then everybody has that. So look at that. Now that consumes say 60 to 80% or 90% of your time. Fair enough, very good. Now you know what are your key processes. Map them out, break them up. Don't know how to map them out? There are enough YouTube videos, free training, man. Knowledge is power in this day age and time. So free training on process mapping, on flowchart drawing, things like that. There are tools which are free. With Microsoft, you get Visio and all of that as a part of your basic Microsoft package. Do it with a pen and paper if you have to. Okay, I have done many a times pen and paper rough work before I put it formally into a PowerPoint or whatever else. Do what you need to do, understand, and then break it up and say, okay, this if I use even Access, even today, MS Access as a technology, if I use Power Query as a technology, if I use basically basic Power BI desktop as a technology stack, I can solve and automate these problems. Okay. You don't know how to use these tools. There are huge number of YouTube channels, huge number of resources. Plus, surprisingly, you will be very shocked to hear, but reality is most bosses would like if you went to them and said, I want to get training. Do we have a finance training budget? Right? And then go to Asif Masani, go to Pavarikar, go and do their courses. I have recommended so many people to come to you guys and do this. Learn these things, man. You guys teach not only FP&A, I know you guys teach certain amount of technology as well. So go learn. There are so many people providing these services. Go and learn these things, but don't learn it in silo as a classroom activity. That is one thing lots of finance people are guilty of. They learn it because, okay, I want to get certified in Power BI. Respectfully, nobody, none of my clients have ever asked me, show me a certificate in Power BI. I have one from Microsoft, but nobody's asked me to see it ever. What they care about is how you can implement it. So learn and implement. Get it wrong, but get implementing and learn from implementation. That I think is the best way of learning these new technologies and making your function more efficient, your work more efficient, essentially.
Wonderful. So learn and then start implementing it in your work.
Absolutely. And challenge yourself. Again, take this from me. I have delivered at least three centers of excellence, okay, at Xerox, at basically GE Healthcare, and at Nielsen. And I'm telling you, if any of your processes take more than 45 minutes, call me. Okay. I have done such a lot of work. I am telling you, all processes can be minimized into less than 30 to 45 minutes. If you do technology correctly, you should be able to do. Again, when I say processes, I don't mean the entire month end process can be done in 45 minutes, but accruals can be done in less than 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Prepayment journal can be done in less than 30, 45 minutes. Your payroll journal can happen in that quick time. Your bank reconciliation can happen in 20, 30 minutes. That's what I'm talking about. So your don't try and challenge and be cocky and say, oh, but no, month end cannot be done in 30 minutes. Of course it can't. But the elements of that can be. So instead of spending now 2 hours on, say, for example, accruals journal, if you're spending 30 minutes, you've now got 1.5 hours back. So in that 2 hours, you've now done four processes instead of one. Imagine how quick your month end will start becoming. I have seen month ends go down from like 7 to 10 days to basically 3 working days, 4 working days. It's not that difficult. It is possible. It is definitely possible.
Yes, and with the right guidance and right consulting, it is definitely doable. So yes, do reach out to Tejas if you're facing any of those challenges in your finance teams. With that, what we will do is we'll move on to the next segment, which is our favorite, which is the rapid fire segment. So I'll be asking Tejas a few questions, and he'll be giving very impromptu answers. Okay, so let's get started. So Tejas, which one of your is the favorite finance book from whatever books you've read?
I like basically data-driven decision making. There is a book written by, I am sure you've seen the writer. Give me a second, but that's a very good book. Data-driven decision making, and that book is a fantastic book. I have read that 3 to 4 times. I think everybody should be really reading that for sure to understand a different mindset of how this works.
Wonderful. We'll put those links in the description. And how do you manage to stay updated? So what is your habits that you make sure that you follow so that you are updated with the latest and the most recent finance and technology trends?
So I am very very active on LinkedIn. I keep updated with all the posts and things like that. Plus, I follow, as I said multiple times, YouTube quite often because a lot of these people. Remember, anybody creating new technology or new ways of working will want to promote it. So your LinkedIn and your YouTube actually help you a lot. And don't be afraid to ask. Reach out to those people and ask. I mean, trust me, people want to talk. It'll be very surprising, but people want to talk.
What has been one of your biggest challenges in your career, and how did you overcome it?
My biggest challenge is, as I said, when I started the Xerox project in 2022, to give you a very simple example, in basically like 1.3 billion PN cost base, I was asked to reconcile like 13 or 14,000 dollars. Okay, and I was like, this is not even rounding. This is rounding of rounding, man. I mean, it is irrelevant to conversation. Who cares? But the gentleman was right. We found purchase order numbers. We found exactly the reasons why we were out by 14 or 15,000. Helped us tighten up that, finesse that process a little bit more, and helped us build credibility. I mean, being that persistent for 6 months is what got us success. Now, generally, most places I've gone, generally in 2 or 3 months, I build credibility and I move on. This place, it took me 6 months for the gentleman to start trusting me that this guy knows what he's talking about. But that's fine. It took 6 months. It took 6 months. I have to earn it.
Next one is, what accounting to you is one of the most underrated skills in finance and FP&A?
I genuinely think FP&A doesn't do enough of A. And I still feel there is analytics which is missing, which we can do a lot more of. People underestimate that. And we should do a lot more of. Okay, I mean, I've had use cases where I've helped business earn basically 1 million, 1.5 million of extra profit without any increased revenue, just by helping them optimize, for example, the product mix that they are selling, right? Things like that. Now, nobody's going to come and ask you for those things. It's for you to take that initiative and help with that analytical skills. So I think analytical skill is critical for you to be successful in FP&A. Otherwise, frankly, you're just a reporting bot.
And is there any habit that you follow regularly that has helped you in your finance career?
Two habits I'd say. One is basically critical thinking. I've been always complimented on my lateral thinking. One, and second is communication. Okay, I think communication is critical. Ask for help, talk to people, ask questions. I think I get more solved by asking questions than locking myself behind an Excel book. Excel book has given me less answers than a communication has.
What do you think is one of the myths in finance and FP&A which a lot of people believe in, but it's not true?
That I have to learn financial Excel modeling. Respectfully, you don't have to learn Excel modeling. I was talking to people even recently, some of the senior finance leaders, and they're like, we are looking for people who understand how technology works. And for example, how Power BI takes data, organizes data, and then gives you the output, or Anaplan, or Profix, or Vena, or whatever else, that AIM plan. So many tools out there. The finance leaders are very content with you being able to understand how the technology works, because slowly but surely that roles are being separated. Finance systems and analyst and FP&A people will separate out. Data scientist and FP&A will become two departments within FP&A, sub departments within FP&A. So as FP&A people, you don't need to understand exactly how they are doing it, as long as you understand what they are doing. That is basically critical. So yes, financial modeling is an overrated skill. I don't think everybody needs to become a financial modeler.
After working with different clients, big and small, what has been your preference? Do you like working with a startup or a mid-sized company or a large corporation, a billion-dollar company?
Respectfully, but I do enjoy more with medium to larger clients, like a billion plus, or even at minimum 100 to 150 million, just because they have bigger problems to solve. When I work with very small businesses, then I'm like, yeah, I can solve this in Excel and I can solve this for you and walk away from it. Whereas basically, it's a meatier problem as they grow up. And especially your mid-tier businesses, which is your 100 million to 500 million, they are the right size where they have the problems of the big company, but they don't have the resources as much to solve it. And that's where it becomes fun to work within a smaller box to solve those problems.
All right. That brings us to the last question for our conversation today. So, what has been one career advice that you have received and you would like to pass that on to somebody who's young right now, starting in finance?
I think the best advice I got was in my role at GE Healthcare. They just calm down, listen, and build a network around. That is critical. So I have learned that obviously some hard ways, but I've learned to listen and build a network around you. That is critical for your success. Otherwise, as a lone wolf, you can only go that far. If you build a network around you, you will go much, much further.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope we'll meet again soon, and hopefully in person as well.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Asif, for having me. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tejas.